Hi, this is Daniel Johns with the North Shore Stake Sunday School, and I have another quick teaching tip for you. And this one has to do not with so much what we say or what we do in a class, but what we hear. I want you to listen. Do you hear that? That's the sound of silence. And for some teachers, that can be an intimidating and a scary thing. I've certainly experienced that myself. You ask a question in class and you're met with dead silence. And so you rush in to answer the question yourself or move on to the next thing. But sometimes I think that we forget that people need thinking time. You ask a question, they might be thinking, not tuning out. And so it's very important to get comfortable with that silence. 10, 20, 30 seconds can seem like an eternity, but there's nothing wrong with letting them think about and maybe marinate in the question that you just asked. For example, in section 45, it's going to talk about standing in holy places. What if you were to ask, what does it mean? What does it look like in the real world to stand in holy places? And you might not get an immediate hand. You might get a couple of hands. Even if you get a couple of hands, I wouldn't immediately let them answer. Let more people think about it. You could maybe say, Sister Taylor, we'll come to you first. We're going to answer this in just a minute. Brother Swayze, we'll be back to you too. Keep thinking about it. Who else has a thought? And in that way, maybe build up 4 or 5 responses that you can go to once you've given them a chance to think about it. And while they're thinking about it, you could maybe even rephrase the question or add additional aspects to the question for them to think about. What does it look like to stand in holy places in the world today? Where do you go? What do you do? How do you make the place where you're at a holy place? Add a few little extra aspects to it. Another thing you can do with that silence is really lean into it and embrace it by building in the silence in advance. You could ask another question, and this is another one from section 45. It talks about in the last days how men's hearts will fail them because of all the different adversity that we'll be facing. And certainly 2020 and on to 2021 has been a crazy year with a lot of things. So this is certainly something that'll be real to your students. And the question you would ask is, in about 1 minute, I'm going to ask you, how do you stay optimistic when there's so many challenging things going on right now? When there's so much adversity, when there's so many things hitting us, how do you stay optimistic? And we're going to answer that question in just a minute. And now all of a sudden the silence is built in. Nobody's uncomfortable with it because they know there's going to be silence. And again, sometimes you can restate some things during that silence. You can fill that up yourself or just let there be straight silence. One of the things I might say in that question is, what role does the gospel play in helping you to stay optimistic? Embrace the silence. Use the silence. It really is a friend. It's an opportunity for people to think and ponder and consider instead of give a knee-jerk answer. And those answers tend to be better answers. Good luck with your teaching and keep up the good work.